Currently, BL and GL, but especially BL, are super popular genres. Books and shows like Heated Rivalry or Heartstopper have amassed huge fanbases. People are always making a bunch of same-sex ships in fandom spaces, and I personally know a bunch of people online and in real life who enjoy this stuff, and that seems pretty nice. At first glance at least. You see, I've noticed that while it's amazing that LGBTQ stories are getting bigger, there is something weird about them. But before we start, if you don't know me, my name is Teacup. In this channel I talk about genuinely random things that I'm into, from creepy stuff online to anime for preschoolers, and actually, talking about that, last year the sequel to a show from a franchise I really love, called Mahoutsukai Precure, was released, and it followed the protagonists of the original 2016 show, now as young adults. It was fun, but, and this is what made me want to make a video in the first place, there was a small controversy. See, the two main characters, Mirai and Liko, are portrayed as really good friends, and in the sequel show they even basically move in together and take care of their almost daughter. Kinda. So a big chunk of the fandom ships them, and actually it is kinda canon, as in the manga adaptation of the show, they both even share a kiss, I think. So the thing is that the sequel show was set to air late at night, being made for the fans of the show who were already grown up, or just the already older fans of the franchise. And despite it actually being as lighthearted as the usual seasons in my opinion, there was a small part in the transformation footage, if you hadn't noticed this is a magical girl series, where the characters get their faces really close, and according to many fans, it looks like they kissed. And like, that's okay, nothing to point out. However, some people didn't seem to agree with this point of view, as according to user Otonari in the Japanese website Note, people, including this user, were complaining about the kiss scene, which remind you, was just like one frame, as being inappropriate to be in a show for little girls, as Precure's main demographic in their usual seasons is preschool-aged kids, being kinda like Japan's My Little Pony, saying that they shouldn't be showing that to kids, and that it made sense considering that it was a late-night show, so that it would appeal to the male otaku audience. And like, and some people who liked it were just as bad, saying how Precure was, quote-unquote, 100% yuri now, and that kinda stuff. Like, that was just fueling the homophobic people's reaction, and making it seem like they were right. This got me thinking, why is BL and yaoi and that kind of stuff so popular with straight women? Why is GL and yuri so popular with straight men too? That's just, I don't know, kinda uncomfortable? But okay, let's try to figure this out from the start. You see, specifically in Japan, homosexuality was kind of accepted, at least between men, until the Meiji period, when by trying to modernize themselves and seem more Western, it started to mimic Europe a lot, and so it also did by making homosexuality illegal and frowned upon. Thus, people wanting to write about same-sex love started to do it instead with subtext, and straight women started to write a lot about it, eventually becoming a subgenre of the shoujo demographic, aimed at teenage girls, which was surprisingly popularized by female writers, and even as of now, it's mostly also part of the shoujo demographic. But of course that as it got bigger, it also started to appeal to some straight men for some other reasons. In Not Even Emily's video, which she coincidentally posted like a month ago while I was writing the script, she tackles more specifically why women like BL, and she mentions how besides the attraction of seeing two hot guys together, women also might enjoy the more forbidden aspects of it, or enjoy seeing men be more vulnerable with each other. And while I do feel like men being into GL feels a little bit more weird than girls being into BL, I started to question myself a bit. You know, the main reason why those people were complaining about the supposed kiss is because they see quote-unquote yuri, or yaoi, as something for adults. Now, the whole discourse about kisses overall being appropriate or not for kids is another topic, but seeing those gay romances as more inappropriate than straight is a mentality that a lot of people have, and it's generally really irritating. And thinking about myself condemning people enjoying media depicting gay relationships of the various opposite gender, I feel like in the end what's necessary is to normalize it. In the US, according to my history classes at school, originally homosexuality between men was hidden and ignored. People would fight for it to be not accepted, but not hated either. These gay men would say that sexuality was private, and that they should be allowed to like anyone, as long as it was a secret. But with the birth of the Gay Liberation Front, which would later evolve into the LGBTQ community, the focus shifted to the acceptance of gay people, and for in general queer people to be able to exist and be proud of their identity in public as well. This is where the whole Pride movement came from, being a response to a society that told people that they were wrong for not being straight and cis. And that's why representation in media and openness to being LGBT is important. But sometimes I feel like people give too much importance to it, both supporters and haters. Why should it matter if someone's gay or straight or bi or cis or trans or whatever? They're still a complete person. Their sexuality doesn't need to define them. And this is not saying that it should be hidden or not talked about. People should be able to be openly queer and not be treated differently because of it. And this is also why I believe that BL and GL being specific genres is perpetuating the division that says that straight people and queer people are different kinds of people. Like, of course they're not the same, everyone's different from one another. But why isn't it all just in the romance genre? Straight men can enjoy GL stories, and straight women can enjoy BL stories. I mean, I enjoy straight and GL romance stories a lot too, but it's just that they can, as long as they don't just like BL or GL. Why can't we just treat them as romance stories and that's it? Because otherwise, it can just turn into fetishization. Like that gross opinion I've heard some straight men have, where they say, wouldn't it be so hot to see two girls being together? Like, dude, it shouldn't be hotter than seeing two guys being together, you know? And ultimately, this ends up causing people to think that queer relationships are inherently more adult, or inappropriate than straight ones. Because of course, being straight is what's natural and right, and being gay is unnatural, right? The kind of people who believe this are the exact kind of people who say that kids shouldn't be thought about that until they're older. But why? Why when it should be just the same as when straight people are in love? I mean, like, in the end, it is the same, you know? And once again, this brings me to what I mentioned at the start. If you look at popular queer media nowadays, it's kinda weird that a lot of BL stories are written by women. And like, it's not like women can't write about gay love, but why aren't there more men writing about it? Well, gender roles, of course. In the past, in some places, it was considered a common phase in the life of a young woman to fall in love with another girl, but that was never taken seriously, seen as only pretend or admiration, as something that would go away as they grew up so they could marry a man and become housewives, what they believed they were meant to be. On the other hand, while in a lot of ancient cultures, homosexuality between men was always more respected in comparison to sapphic relationships, in the end feminine traits ended up being associated to gay men, and masculine ones to lesbians. And as we all know, this can't happen, right? When in reality, while queer feminine guys and masculine girls exist, and they are fine too, a lot of the times that's not the case at all, and someone not being stereotypically masculine or feminine shouldn't have to do with their orientation. But because of this, platonic closeness between girls is a lot more accepted than closeness between male friends. And maybe that's why women being allowed to be more vulnerable feel safer writing about gay guys than men might feel. If a straight woman writes a gay romance between two men, there might be some people who assume stuff, and stuff like that, but not as much as if a guy were to do it, where he's automatically assumed to be gay. And in a society where being LGBT is seen as something to be ashamed of, these guys don't want to, or maybe don't even consider taking that risk. In a perfect world, gay and trans people would be integrated into society like the normal people they are. But we don't live in that world, and because they're not, they have to forcefully make people acknowledge their existence, and always be cautious to ensure their well-being. But yeah, this is a really big topic, and to be fair, in the end this is just my opinion, but this is something that's been tickling me since that Precure controversy, and I really felt like I needed someone to discuss it. But it's not like I'm the final decision maker who chooses what's right and what's wrong, and that's it. I'd love to hear you guys' point of view. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is there something I didn't mention, or that you believe I could have? Please tell me in the comments if it is so. I love discussing about topics like this, and getting to know how different each person's opinions are and stuff. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed my style and format, as despite my topics being all over the place, at least I try to keep that consistent. I think the most important part is to just respect each other's identity, and to not force people to come out. They shouldn't even have to, it's just that being straight is seen as the default. Nor treat people differently for not being cis and straight. Even if we don't see it as negative, some positive comments and distinctions hurt too. But yeah, that was it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you next month for my next video. Sorry if I sounded a little bit more nasal than usual this time, it's just that I'm sick, but I really had to upload the video. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this kinda unofficial late Valentine's Day special. But yeah, see you next month, unless I end up completely forgetting about it. In which case, see you guys in 6 months for my next video, I think. Bye guys!